Hello,
Yay.
welcome to Smiling Souls with Wendy T and Steph. How are you today, Wendy?
I'm sorry. Just
She's
based on
coming.
the conversation we just had, to be honest, I'm a bit of a sweaty Betty today.
Oh, well then.
Got a fan on me?
Yep, it's all good. It happens,
How are
man.
you?
I am good. It is a good day. So
What's good about it? You know, I'm a coach and I need to dig into this, so you're welcome.
of course. Well, my child is back at school, so now I can
Ooh.
actually do things
Yeah.
more than I was getting to sometimes during the summer. And, it's just a good day.
So what are the things you're getting to do?
Wow. This week I have gone to the gym and gone swimming,
Oh, really?
3 days this week
Nice.
when I haven't been able to most of the time in the summer.
Yeah.
And he's on the bus by like 7:30, so
Yeah.
I get my day going, so it's kinda lovely.
Get the kid on the bus, mom starts her day.
Exactly. Have my
Woo!
coffee and do the things. So, like, today, I actually it's trash day, so, I wake up,
Mhm.
I get him food, and I make his lunch, and then I start doing all the things for trash day,
Right.
and
It's a
then we
good
walk
day.
him to the bus stop. Yeah, it's like every Friday I wake up and go, "Oh, it's Friday. It's Friday. I gotta do the
Trash day.
you have to actually be functioning at, like, 6 in the morning instead of, later. But then I got to have my cup of tea while he finished getting ready for school, and then I took him to the bus stop, and then we walked back, and my husband is actually off today for the first time in I don't know how many days, so
Oh,
we walked together to the bus stop and back, and that was nice.
nice.
And then I sat at my desk and kinda organized some things and sent out some emails and got my
Wow,
brain
you're
in gear for
productive.
today. Yes, I've been very productive. And I did a facial mask because I have a little hormonal pimple popping up on my chin that I was like, "This needs to go away promptly."
So you were productive and you did some self-care
Exactly.
before like 9 o'clock my time.
Yes.
Damn.
Exactly.
Well,
Mhm.
that's impressive.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
impressive. By the way, trash day. One
Yes.
of the things they don't tell you you're going to be excited about as an adult,
It's so true.
right? Or recycling day. Like,
Yes, when you've got it, like, piled up. It doesn't happen too often that we've got it, like, super piled up unless we have a party or guests or something,
yeah,
but there are those certain days where you're like, "How do we have so much trash and it's only the 3rd day since trash day?" You
I
know?
know, right? I know. It's crazy.
Yep.
That's exciting. Trash day. What does your mug say? I think I know, but tell everybody else.
Gratitude. Got a
Grateful. I
little
have one of
heart.
those too.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Did you break it?
I donated it.
How dare
My quest for I don't need all the shit that I have.
Mhm.
Sorry.
It's all good. So did you pull a card today?
Yes.
Forgot your card?
Hang
I'll
on.
talk about my card while
Talk
you go.
amongst yourselves.
So I pulled an angel card today, and my angel card today is divine order.
Ooh.
Yes, let's go a little close.
Archangel.
Raphael. No, right, Raguel.
I was
Sorry.
thinking it's a Regal. Okay. What does
Sorry,
it
I was reading it backwards, so
I know.
Um, everything is how it needs to be right now. Look past the illusion and see underlying order. Yes, a win win situation is brewing, one with solutions that are fair to everyone involved. This requires you to have blind faith that heaven is working behind the scenes to extract the highest good for all. Ask me to buoy your faith if it wavers. Use positive affirmations and prayers to keep your spirits high. Above all, make sure that your conversations about this situation involves positive and optimistic words and phrases. You are so powerful that your positive thoughts can speed the resolution along even quicker. And a little info about working with Archangel Raguel is a beautiful pale blue energy like the sky on a perfect spring morning. He's the archangel that guides people to act in fair and just ways. And Raguel also gives us faith in humanity's essence of goodness. Wearing or holding aquamarine crystal will align you with Regal's kind and wise persona. And I thought that was pretty cool.
That's beautiful. I love that.
I've been feeling that way lately, that, it's all balanced and good. So
that's just an affirmation.
right.
Let me know the name of that card deck because I think I want to purchase. That. It's something I actually want. Archangel Oracle cards. Oh, Doreen Virtue. Okay, so that's what I pulled from today. It was a deck of her cards.
Mm-hmm.
My God, scrap paper, Wendy. Okay. I'm going to write that down in just a little bit. But here's the thing. Your card said something about illusions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lordy. Walk away from illusions and toward
the
truth.
Well, geez.
Dude.
I guess we clearly just needed that message.
Dude.
Yep.
And so this says, show me the right path, O Lord. Point out the road for me to follow. Dude.
That is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So affirmations abound.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about kind of spiritualness, but basically around the idea of following your intuition. And I know you've been tapping in and learning more about your personal intuition and spiritual growth. And so I was hoping you could share a wee bit about that. And then
a wee bit.
We can go.
Oh, the Irish girl's coming out in you.
Yeah. Often does.
Sorry, I interrupted.
It's okay. It's what you do.
So what do you want me to share?
About your spiritual journey and learning to trust your intuition.
That's wow. That's a long one. But I won't. Yeah, I was thinking about this too before today. I'm like, oh gosh, what am I going to talk about? I don't know about talking about spiritual stuff because, to be honest, lately I felt a little disconnected.
Okay.
From my spiritual side.
Okay. Happens.
And when I got curious about that, started having that internal conversation with myself and my angels and spirit guides. What came up from that was, well, Wendy, you need to keep talking to us. You need to remember that we're here. You need to ask because you always receive. And I was like, oh yeah, I do. I always receive when I ask. So, to that end, this morning, I woke up at the crack of dawn. Sun is coming up. I wake up, I look out the window and beautiful pink sunrise. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, after 5 a.m. Do I want to get up now? Do I want to sleep until like 6? So I tried to sleep. It's like, no, something was telling me get up and start your day. Now, typically my day starts coffee, get in front of the computer, get my intentions set for the day, ask my angels and spirit guides for guidance and protection, all the things, draw the oracle card. get my schedule down. Okay, this is what I'm doing. These are the things that have to get done and blah, 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 blah. I did none of that this morning except say good morning to my spirit guides, to my angels, ask for guidance, drew the card. And then I puttered around. You ever hear that phrase, putter?
All the time. I'm from New England.
Oh, so this is interesting. My grandpa, who has never been in New England ever in his life, always used to say, I'm puttering.
Yeah.
He's a Midwestern guy from Belgium.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a common phrase.
Is it a common? I didn't know. So puttering.
At least in the Midwest / New England. I don't know.
Okay. So you know what I mean by puttering. I puttered this morning, took my time, did a little self-care. I made my coffee. I did some dishes. What did I do? Self-care. Really just did some nice scrubbing stuff with my face, which I don't typically do in the morning because it takes a little extra time. But you know what? That was the hit that I got this morning. Was do not sit down at your desk. Do not go anywhere near your desk. And I did not. And that caused time to slow down.
Yes.
Yeah? Have you experienced that ever?
That's actually how I like to spend my mornings. Like during the summer, it was joyful because I didn't have to be out the door right away. And that's how I like to do it. But there are other times that you just have to do the things.
Sometimes you have to do the things. Today, everyone is screaming at me going, nope, nope, nope. You're not looking at your schedule. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I didn't stress out about I never stress out about our podcast. It's more of, gosh, what do we want to talk about? And today, everything told me just sit and have a conversation. And that is what we are doing.
Yep.
So there you go. That's part of my intuition. Have I told you my intuition with my mom and taking care of her?
I'm sure we've talked about it, but let's talk more.
So her back injury, where she basically broke her back, right? Fractured forget what they call it. She fractured her back. And when that happened, the emergency room doctor said, oh, your mom needs a procedure called kyphoplasty. I knew what that was because the year before, I had heard this doctor who specializes in kyphoplasty speaking. It's like, okay, I know this guy. Well, they didn't recommend this guy. They recommended another doctor. And my intuition was like, no. Yeah, I could take her locally to this guy. No, my intuition is saying, reach out to this other doctor. I did not need a referral because you know how that's kind of a pain in the patootie. Did not need a referral from her family doctor. Got in quicker than I had anticipated. It's, by the way, over an hour drive to get to this doctor. So it's not a quick thing. We were late for the first appointment. I mean, late. And their policy is if you're 10 minutes late, you have to reschedule. We were like 30 minutes late.
My gosh.
And I'm standing there talking to, what's her name? Liberty? Justice? One of those names. And she's like, you know what? I'm invested in this and I'm going to make sure your mom gets in today.
Wow.
And she did. We saw him that day. He looks at me. He's like, do I know you? And I'm like, well, we met last year when he's like, wait, he's like, you live in LaPorte. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you came all the way out. I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
He was like, all right, I'm going to get your mom fixed up quickly. And he did. She injured herself July 2nd. Her surgery was August 1st.
Wow.
She had that surgery That afternoon, she's standing straighter. She's zipping around with her rollator as
Mhm.
per usual.
Mhm.
She's all good. So that's just an example, one example of,
Yeah.
let's see, it'll be 13 years I've been taking care of mom.
Mhm.
Just one example of my intuition is saying, do this. And
That's
it's so easy. Like, let it be easy, right?
yeah.
Because a
Yeah.
lot of times I hear this, and I was this person, um, overthinking,
Mhm.
overthinking. Yeah, no, just let it be easy. Listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
That's me. But you were just telling me before the call,
Yeah.
really cool story about your dad and your
Yeah.
intuition.
So he has had an infection in his leg and, he's seen the doctor, gone to the hospital, made sure it wasn't blood clots or anything like that. And he did a whole round of antibiotics and meanwhile antibiotics and I gave him oils to rub on it to help with it. And it really didn't get better. I mean, it got a little better, but it still was there, still active, very active. And so he went back, called his doctor, went back to the ER again, checking to make sure that no blood clots, all the other things that could potentially be going on. And ultimately, they put him on another round of antibiotics. And um, just I just knew he needed something more because I think he's had a lot of antibiotics and other things in his system this year that I think his body's just overloaded to the point that it's not working the way it's supposed to. It's so full of toxins that it's just like his body, his kidneys aren't working aren't cleansing his body the way it's supposed to. So I have a friend who's an energy worker and has a wellness center, and she does these ionic foot baths that pull out all the well, not all the toxins, but a lot of the toxins in your body and really help improve your health. And she always encourages people to do them after being on antibiotics. So I called her, and it just kept ringing in my head like, bring him to see Ginny, bring him to see Ginny. And so eventually I called her and I said, is it possible? Like, does he have to wait until the infection's done or can he come now? And she was like, bring him. And first she's like, he has to see a doctor. I was like, he's seen all the doctors. So she's like, okay, then yes, bring him. So she ended up doing really cool, intuitive, integrated energy work on him and then put him in the ionic foot bath. And it was absolutely one fascinating to watch the energy work that she does because she has a lot of modalities that she's learned along the way. And she just works with the angels and her guides and just gets it done and it's impressive. And then um the foot bath was just my dad was blown away because within minutes she literally just puts his feet in this bucket with water and then puts this ionizer into the water and within minutes it's turning yucky colors and he's like, is it supposed to do this? And we're like, yeah. And then she sat down and gave him all the literature to look at and to learn a little bit more. But it was so cool. And, immediately he's like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely signing up for a series of these so that I, you know, can get all this crap out. And he was just blown away by the experience. But, even after that treatment, his leg looked different than when we went in. It wasn't perfect, but it definitely was better. And I think he's going to get another treatment next week. So, yeah, it was just that following your intuition and like listening when they're screaming at you, you know.
Right?
Uh-huh. And
Um,
in life, whether it's taking care of yourself, your kids, your parents, there's always those times where it's like you have to listen to yourself. You have to trust your gut, instinct, or even in business or whatever. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
which I think is what our cards were kind of saying to us today too. It's like, just trust it.
Yeah, very loud. And so, has it ever been hard to trust it? For me, it has.
No, I've always been one of those people that just
Really?
goes, yeah. hmm I don't, I've, as my mother used to say when I was little, I went to the rhythm of my own drum and I did not follow the crowd. I think that's why, as even as a child, I considered most schoolmates like associates, not friends.
Really?
Yeah. I did not get particularly close. Like, I liked people. I liked a lot of people, but I knew who wasn't necessarily my friend. Um, and and I went on that with mostly just intuition. It wasn't that like all these people harmed me or, caused a reason for me not to trust them. I mean, there certainly were the like bully jerk kids that like to call names and be mean, um but it was more just trusting my intuition and knowing that not everyone is your friend. And it's okay to have people who you deal with on the daily basis that you enjoy their company, but they're not your friend.
Mm.
And
That
so
makes
that's just like one of those like life things that I just have always had that, walking into a room and knowing I feel energy. So for me it's a feeling. Um So I'll walk into certain spaces and, feel the energy and know if it's good or bad. And sometimes it's overwhelming and I have to just get out. Like there is this, actually, I don't even think it's there anymore, but there used to be a like, um, a woo woo like spiritual shop in Rockport,
Yeah.
Massachusetts. And Rockport's like a very quaint artist district
Okay.
town on the North Shore, and people love to go there and walk on this pier thing. And so I would go there a lot, and everybody that I would bring there would be, oh, let's go to this shop. And it's like I could walk in and like the first section of the store, it was very tight and cramped. But the first section I could kind of walk through and look at some of the stuff. But then there was there was like a little section with books, and then there was like a couple steps down to like a stone patio. So I think it's like that patio used to be outdoors because the house was tiny and it was weird old 18 or 1700s.
Yeah.
Like if I went down those stairs to the patio part, the energy was so dark and not good. Like it overwhelmed me and like suffocated me almost. So I would just get out of that store. So, I just like look at whoever was visiting with me and just be like, I'll be outside. And it got to the point that I just would be like, nope, I'm just not going to go in that store because I cannot deal with it. And like when I was younger, and just feeling the energy, I'd make up stories in my head. Like what is this dark energy? What is it? And I just being that it was clearly like an old, like 1700s house or whatever. I don't even know how old it was. Um, I'd think of like Salem Witch because we're not that far from it's literally maybe 20 minutes from Salem.
Wow.
And so I'm like, ooh, maybe there were witches here. Maybe somebody bad did something bad here. I would make up the most ridiculous stories in my head. And then, and I would just try and like imagine what really happened and try and tap into, like I would try to tap in and I couldn't really, I think it was just funny stories in my head, but who knows? But yeah, trusting my intuition in that sense is a big one. Feeling the energy. Yeah.
That's so even at a young age, you knew what your intuition, your energy was. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea. Like I know now, looking back, I'm like, oh, That's why I felt differently, or I was different. I was different than the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that until, recently. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Can we talk about friendship?
Yeah.
So, Steph and I talked about this before we started recording, but talk about intuition and manifesting in the universe. And so last year, probably around this time, we were both getting ready for celebration, which is a yearly, I guess, conference, but it's not a conference. It's way more fun than a conference. But that's the best way I can describe it, for Polka Dot Powerhouse, of which we are both members of.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner, the creator, founder, thank you, Shannon Crotty, I think maybe a month before or 2 months before, said, set your intentions for this conference. What do you want? And so I said, and I didn't say this out loud, I wrote it somewhere. I said, I want a best friend. So go to conference. Steph and I kind of sort of knew each other. I don't even know if we'd had a connect before at that point.
I don't know if we had a connect, but we had seen each other on Zoom. So I think we had kind of chatted a little, but nothing real.
Right. Nothing real. And so got to know her, got to hug her in person and just have a little bit of interaction. And so you've seen where we're at now. We talk about all the things, and you've seen me cry. And yeah. So anyway, we are launching this podcast officially like September 9th. It's coming up very soon. The filming of this is August 30th, so it's coming up. And so Steph has created a little trailer. And I'm watching this trailer. 2 curly-haired girl productions, by the way. And the first slide says, or no, not the first slide. One of the slides in the beginning says best friends. And I went, oh my gosh, I got what I asked for.
Yep. So sweet. I love it. Yeah, it was funny. I created that with the iMovie app that's on my Mac. And I was that's what I've been playing with for editing the videos. And I was looking at their different template things and it's trailers. And I was like,
what is this?
It's literally you drop in pictures, you can put whatever you want, and it like gives you prompts and it just throws it together. And the like template one was like it was more of like a romantic guy and girl meet and they go on a vacation. That's what the trailer was for like but then I utilized it to work for us. And
we can go on a vacation.
Or maybe it wasn't a guy and a girl. Maybe it wasn't romantic because it did say best friend. So the template said best friend. Like it introduced the girl, it introduced the other person, and then it says best friends, and then they go on a holiday or whatever.
We can go on a holiday.
Right? We plan to at some point. And as I'm dropping in the words, it was like Wendy T. And I had a little picture of her, and then Steph, and a picture of me. And then it was like best friends. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, we don't need to change that. We'll just keep going. So it was really funny because I sat there for a minute trying to think of a better phrase and I didn't have one. So I was like, all right.
Because that was it.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
It's pretty cool. It was pretty cool that was your reaction. So that makes me so happy. And
I just was like, oh my, and it's so funny. I hadn't thought about my intention for a year.
Yeah.
Off my radar. And I was like, oh my gosh, here it is. Steph.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is I think it's really interesting because Shannon always tells us to, um, set an intention. That's a very important
Yeah.
thing for her mind, whether it's a call that you're doing or,
Right.
a project or whatever, she's like, "Always set an intention." So, she always says before a celebration, "Set your intention for what you want to have happen." And at the
Yeah.
first celebration I went to was the, Minneapolis after COVID, so it was 21,
Oh, was I at that one?
2021,
No. No, I didn't go to that one. Okay.
I think. Maybe it was 22? No, it was 21.
Okay.
And and I felt like a little newbie because 'cause I'd never been to a celebration. I basically, Carol Ward, who is in my
Yeah.
chapter, went with me, and so I just kinda, like, held on to her because she had been to one before, and especially a first big event post-COVID that it's
Oh,
all
right. Right,
we were all
post-COVID.
very weird, right? It was pretty small, but still, and I felt like I didn't really know anybody, but at the same time, I was like, "Oh, wait, I do know these people,"
Yeah, yeah,
and it's such a comfortable room once you're there. Um,
right,
they have a little marketplace where they have some vendors who set up and everything, and so
right.
we're walking through this very crowded, everybody's swarming look. It was like when they first opened, and Carol's like, "Stephanie Schoolmeister, Stephanie, you have to meet Stephanie." And so we're literally like salmon in the middle of all these other dots. In the center of it all, she's like, "Stephanie, meet Stephanie." And we're both like, "Hi," and we give each other a hug. And she's like, "You two will love each other. You have to connect." And we're like, "Okay, great. Talk to you later. We'll connect later."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that meeting, it was so interesting because and then Stephanie proceeded to be one of the keynote speakers that year, and she was phenomenal.
Mm,
Well, when we gave each other a hug, and I literally had never met her before, I don't think I'd even seen her on a Zoom. And
okay.
or if I had, it just didn't
Right.
but I give her a hug, and I get this message like, "You're going to work with her. You're going to do
Mm,
a retreat with her."
mm.
And I was like,
Huh, alright,
in one ear and out the other, right?
okay.
And I just kind of held on to it. I was like, "All right, we'll just put that back here." And so then that whole next year, Stephanie and I got to know each other.
Right.
And we did a couple, we just connected more online. And then the following celebration in Denver, we give each other hugs, we connect in person finally. And after celebration, I sent her an email. I said, "Hey, I've had this idea spinning in my head since we met originally in
Mm,
Minneapolis." And I
mhm.
told her what it was. I said, "I'd love for us to do this retreat." And I tell her all about it. She's like, "Holy crap, girl." She says, "I had the same thought when we hugged." She
Ooh,
knew it too.
chills.
Neither of us said anything for a whole year because we had to get to know each other better.
Yeah, yeah,
And then ultimately, in a matter of 6 months, we threw together a retreat,
yeah.
and it was out here on the East Coast. She's in Colorado,
Okay.
but the Sisterhood Summit, which is another gathering event that we
Yep.
do, was out in Pennsylvania. Her family lives in Pennsylvania. So she decided to come to
Yeah,
Sisterhood Summit, which
right.
was earlier in June. It was like, well, it was actually the Wednesday or the Thursday before our retreat is how we ended up scheduling it.
Oh, brilliant.
So what
Oh,
happened was Carol and Wendy and I drove down from Massachusetts to Pennsylvania, went to
yeah,
Sister Summit. We pick up Stephanie. We bring her home. Well, we spend a night down there, and then we come home. Saturday, we set up for the retreat. Sunday, we have retreat. Meanwhile, Steph's like, "Well, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania. I might as well stay with my family for a little while." She
okay.
stayed 3 weeks for the 3 weeks preceding. in Pennsylvania, and I helped her connect with other, because Pennsylvania has a million chapters.
Yeah, you
I
do.
helped her connect with a bunch of the
Right.
Pennsylvania chapters, and she
Right.
was a speaker for almost every chapter.
Oh my gosh.
She basically, and then when
Look
she
at how
came up here, she spoke for my chapter and
Mm.
she spoke for Rhode Island. So basically, I helped her create a speaking tour and we did a retreat. And it was like the most amazing, fun, incredible thing. And it was all based on that strange little hunch that we had. And I was like, all right, this is going to sound crazy, but.
Did you find when you were doing all the things like planning and that it was easy and that
Yes.
things just flowed?
I mean, literally, we had this phone call and we were trying to think of when we could do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I forget, I can't remember. I think she was coming out for like a nephew's graduation or something. Like there was some reason she was coming to Pennsylvania in June. And I was like, well, if you stay a few more weeks, Sisterhood Summit. And she goes, and I was like, and I can help you with it. Like this all unraveled in a matter of minutes on the like probably first actual planning call that we had. Yeah. And from there it was just like, okay, let's do this. Let's make this do. And then it was just trying to promote it, which was kind of the harder part, but but it worked and it was cool because even though it ended up being a very small retreat, it helped us all because a couple other facilitators got in on it.
Yeah.
This all grow in different ways. Like Stephanie had never done a retreat with others, so she learned what that's like. And I had certain intentions and most of them were met. It just was not necessarily the way I thought it would. So it was just, learning a few things. We all grew a little bit and at the same time got to have quality time together. So it was super awesome.
So you had fun. You were in flow. It was easy. Mm-hmm. That's how you know.
Yeah.
That's how you know that you're being guided by spirit.
Yeah. And that's like how Stephanie operates. So
yeah, like let it be easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I had a thought about intention.
Okay.
So, right, because Shannon says set an intention. So what this got me thinking is, what if our listeners, what if our viewers, before they started listening to or watching one of our podcasts, what if they set an intention? I've seen this done before. I've heard this done before.
Work?
What's up?
How does that work?
Okay, yeah, I've seen this done and heard this done before. Before a meeting, before a workshop, before a mastermind, before, I don't know if anybody's done with this with a podcast, but you set the intention of, please give me what I need to hear. Or I would love to hear this, or open my eyes around this, whatever the intention is, don't overthink it, right? Make it easy. So I'm curious, try this out for those of you that are listening and or watching. Before you start listening to one of our podcasts, set the intention for yourself and then let us know in the comments on YouTube. Let us know on Patreon. Email us. What was the result of that? Because I'm curious what comes up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be interesting. Very interesting.
There you go. And let it be easy. Don't overthink it. I'm smiling because I'm a recovering type A personality. Sometimes I catch myself overthinking. And then I tap into my angels and they go, stop it. Got it.
Oh, and that's why we have fun together.
That's why we have fun together.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and it's interesting because I think the more even when I was a kid, I I just had knowings, like I was saying, and that I
Yeah.
just kind of followed my intuition. But um, even as a little person, I knew I was an old soul.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, and especially in the past few years, as I've really tapped into certain things,
Yeah.
I'm realizing more and more that I I'm pretty far along in my life. So I think that's why I came in the way I came in, whereas others, you got to do it a few times uh, to have those intuitions of like, I know this thing. Or even, what I think is interesting, just some people, they just get the little windows where they're like, oh, I recognize this thing, or what seems
Yeah.
like deja vu or whatever,
Yeah.
and then
100%.
later they realize like, oh, that was a memory, or that was a
Mhm.
yep.
Have you read Journey of Souls?
I think you're like the 10th person to tell me I need to read it.
Because it talks about exactly what we're talking about,
Mhm.
past lives. And some people like you have had many past lives. And so that's why you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going with the flow. I'm going with my intuition. Some
Mhm.
people have, I don't think I've had that many past lives. And so that's why,
There's me.
I'm learning the things.
Yeah,
But it's just it's fascinating. So,
it is.
and the reason I have this painting of Diamond Head,
Mhm.
saw it the first time in person, and I was just like, what in the world? I had such a connection to
Yeah.
it.
What's
Something was
funny
there. Yeah.
is, just this month, a couple weeks ago, we were on vacation in, Upper Peninsula of
Yep.
Michigan, and we're on Lake Superior, and, like, my husband freaking fell in love with Lake Superior. He is not a water person.
Really?
He like, I am a total
Mhm.
water person, he's more of the mountain guy.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
he had this craving to take his shoes off and put his feet in Lake Superior. And
Does it excite him?
every time we were there, he had to do that. Like,
Yeah.
every time we went to the lake, he had to put his feet in, and he like walked the beaches and looked for rocks and just was like, he's like, I just feel so peaceful here. Like, we both fell in love with the Upper Peninsula. It's magnificently
Woo.
beautiful.
Are you moving north?
I maybe someday, but
Okay.
we we were kind of talking about how connected we felt to this spot, and I just looked at him and
Interesting.
I was like, maybe we were here previously together, and he was like, maybe, and like that was the conversation. But it's like,
Mhm.
and that's like probably the first time ever that that's happened, where we both have been like so connected to a spot. So it was very interesting. uh,
Ugh. Are you going to continue to dig into that?
I mean, we're going to continue to check out the Upper Peninsula probably.
I love it. You'll be closer, I think.
I know,
You'll
sort
be
of.
kind of, sort of. Yeah.
Six and one half
Uh,
dozen.
what?
Six and one half dozen.
Right.
The same thing.
Yeah. Same thing. Same. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the time. I know
Yeah.
you've got a friend that's going to be popping in soon.
Yes, exactly.
She'll be like, "Are you guys still talking?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so hope you've enjoyed this episode. We talked about a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And
It's been
like,
good. That went really fast. That was an incredible conversation. So, thank you for joining us on Smiling Souls, and we'll see you next time.
see you next time.
Bye.